Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Very good afternoon to all fellow Malaysian beloved brothers and sisters. Professor Nader Hashemi. I begin by saying that about the many invitations that I got from IRF, this particular one has really overwhelmed me. I was around with Mustafa Akyol, Abdullah Naim, I was around with Abdullah Wahab Effendi and John Ball and others from the Western Islamic scholars. But I must admit, without any attempt at flattery, that this afternoon's submission or presentation that you did, I would dare, challenge any of our participants who could come up to contest, a very enlightening talk on a topic that has always been acrimonious, unending. It takes a professor of political science, to come up to give sense to politicians. And as well NGOs perhaps. That's hardly any more reason and logic to this, to perpetually continue this unending debate of whether, is this constitution secular or Islamic. Honestly, I have long left that discourse. But time and time again, I'm dragged into this. But today, speaking from a Professor Nader Hashemi, I will dare say that, speaking from a political actor who incidentally was a former academic, so I now interface between academics and political actor, and I have that privilege. And I always speak with, a lot of leverage on it. I would want to believe that it's almost a convergence of secularists. I take this with very cautiously, yeah? Of secularists, if there are such, classical one, or Islamists, Democrats, or I call myself perhaps Muslim Democrats or Neo-Islamist Democrat. I think there is a convergence in Alfred Stephen twin toleration, the cardinal and pivotal role of religion. What have you? Islam and others, transcendental religion, or even philosophies for that matter, in the running of a state. And I think that brings a lot of consoling and very reassuring when suddenly it dawns on us that what really matters is not about what you describe yourself, but an attempt at enjoying the outcome, the fruits. That productive outcome of finally governing and running a state that brings about in simple terms, total well-being of humanity. That brings about what is enshrined in the narrative of the French secular experience of liberty, of fraternity, of equality. And that is entirely and solely the higher intents of the Sharia. Period. If I dare say that. So in that sense, that polemical discourse must be thrown out of the window. For now, all political actors, and as well academics like you, should move forward in an attempt to exude, or not just exhibit, but internalize, or perhaps embody, actualize, maybe that's a better word, or realize all these higher intents and objectives of a vibrant democracy. What constitutes a vibrant democracy? And all political actors, for that matter, would be given the space, the freedom to present their advocacy in all their conviction of what belief have you, in a contestation that is free and fair. And it's one of the requirements of what a democracy, an ideal or best practice of democracy should be. So from a position of always engaging in these polemics of secularism and Islam and what have you, we have come to a point of convergence where we all agree that what matters at the end of the day, in the final analysis, is for us to achieve a democracy that is both functional, vibrant, and would provide, beyond just free and fair election, total well-being of all, to the citizenry, without any prejudice and discrimination, perhaps enshrined by the Sahif al-Madinah. And in that sense, a truly multicultural, pluralistic society in place. And everyone has his say, has their say, because everyone is free to advocate, contest. And in that legislative process, no one should speak in the name of God. You can bring verses of God, you can bring tradition of the Prophet, but at the end of the day, it is a human endeavor. So be prepared for contestation. And that is democracy at its best. I have no qualms whatsoever that this is a kind of an enlightenment of thought. Listening to Prof. Nader Hashemi, as he engages from slide to slide, I thought that, wow, this is, it's very enlightening, to say the least. And I for one, would really want to put the final nail into this coffin of schism or this dialectical conflict of secularism and Islam within the ambits of democracy. I must say that there is not at all any reason for us to continue for another minute. But then the question on leaders, the question on political actors, do we really can we really come up to the challenge of realizing this within a political construct called a nation state or what have you? I think I don't have to say too much this afternoon. And I would really want to say in so many other ways, but that will just be paraphrasing all the jewels that you have heard earlier. Honestly, I'm not trying to flatter you, so sorry. But if you care to, to look and peruse and think profoundly on this, I thought, given what we have right now, and I'm warned not to give any political speech here, I'm willing to unleash and to criticize in the words of, whatever, but I'm not into to do that. This is not a political drama. This is an intellectual engagement that I believe that each and every one of us is responsible. And I'm not saying that therefore we become so united. No, it's not that. In the very plural way and through our own conviction, what have you? Left, right, center of right, center of left, that is democracy. It's just not about election periodically, but it's about an ability to engage, advocate, and be respected for that in the space, in the public space, and particularly within the legislative process. That is cardinal and pivotal to advancing the best practice of democracy, representative democracy, parliamentary democracy, and I'm sure we can engage further. But I thought I have, I could see friends like Robert Fu, my good friend Harold Kong, who always, engage here and, shooting at me on question of secularism from time immemorial. But today, I really feel that, the best, we are in the same side of the court, challenging. Yeah, Tan Sri? Tan Sri Sharif is also around here. Many other good friends around here. We are on the same court. That does not mean we are having a, what is called as a united political thought. That's not it. And in fact, Islam enshrined, it is enshrined in the verses, if I may quote, of how Islam celebrates plurality at its best. And that God made it very clear. وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَجَعَلَكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً وَلَكِنْ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ فِي مَا أَتَاكُمْ فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. And the other verses of this nature. Had God will, He would have made you all one united, ummah. And religion is perhaps Islam or whatever you. But that is not the divine design of this creation. And within that plurality or pluralism, whatever you, we are enjoined to fastabiqul khairat, to vie one another. That perchance, in another verse, God says, and this is not just for Muslim, as it starts off with, Ayyuhan nas, ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min zakarin wa unsa wa ja'alnakum shu'uba wa qabaila li ta'arafu. Usually people will read only to that. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. I would want to emphasize on the last line. God says in the first verse, O you humanity. This is just not for O you who believe, it's for all humanity. The Quran speaks to all humanity as well. O you mankind, you've been created from one male and female, and from there made into nation and tribes, that perchance and happily that you may know each other. Usually we stop at that. Because the objective of this plurality is for you to know each other. But this afternoon, I'm going to give you the flip side of this verse, or perhaps the forgotten side of this verse. As Allah says, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum, verily the best among you in the sight of God Almighty is the one who is most righteous. And who is the one most righteous? It is the one that is able to manage the plurality and diversity, at-ta'adud, that Allah has earlier on in the verse described. So the context of Muslim, particularly Muslim Democrats or whatever you, is to be able to, within this construct of debate and contestation, will we, Muslim, able to provide for that justice for all, provide for the higher intents of the Sharia, of Hifzul Hurriya, Hifzul Mal, Hifzul Aqal, Hifzul Nafs, and a lot more by the contemporary Muslim thinkers. And that is the greatest challenge. Because the one who is most righteous in this verse, many may not realize the exegesis of this verse, is the one who is able to manage these differences and plurality, defined as the most righteous in the eyes of God. Wow. I thought I've just shared with you what little knowledge I have in trying to reaffirm Professor Nader Hashemi's discourse or submission, which I think is really profound and very insightful, very reassuring, very liberating, very, for all the superlative sense of the words that you may have. So I think I'll take it like that first. I thank you for your attention. Thank you.